Shalom, Yasha Allah. First and foremost, we give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakak Wadash, the honors to our apostles and elders and great millstones, we will. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that's pushed this great gospel in sincerity and truth. This is your brother Tazakai Yahweh from the great millstone to the Annapolis camp, coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, and Lord willing be edifying. Got an article here from CS Monitor, or the ChristianScienceMonitor.com, and it reads, Turmoil in Tunisia. Food shortage sparks unrest. In Tunisia, everyday items like sugar, oil, and rice have become scarce or overpriced, triggering supermarket fights and protests across the country. The government blames hoarding and war in Ukraine, but experts say it's a sign of a larger budget crisis. Right? It says, okay. And this article came out October 12th, 2022, the year Yahweh Bashim Mashah turned it up. And it reads, Tunisia, which Tunis is the capital. It says, Tunisians have been hit with soaring food prices and shortages of basic staples in recent weeks, threatening to turn simmering discontent in the North African country, the cradle of the Arab Spring protests, into larger turmoil. Sugar, vegetable oil, rice, and even bottled water periodically disappear from supermarkets and grocery stores. People standing in line for hours for these food essentials that have long been subsidized and are now increasingly available in rations only. When they do appear on the shelves, many people cannot afford to pay the staggering price for them, right? Going to what? Inflation and also what? Hyperinflation. As we've definitely been seeing as of late. It says, I came to shop and found people fighting to buy, and the prices were very high. So they literally, and they're fighting over products, right? It says shopper Amina Hamdi, despairing at trying to buy basic goods. It is not possible to live without food, said Achi during the recent shopping trip to the fish and meat market in Tunis. We can live without furniture, construction material, but we have to eat. She only gave her first name for fear of persecution by police for speaking out. The government has blamed speculators, black market hoarders, and the war in Ukraine, but economic experts say the government's own budget crisis and its inability to negotiate a long-sought loan from the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, have added to Tunisia's troubles. Fights sometimes break out at food market queues and scatter protests and sporadic clashes with police over rising prices and shortages have occurred around the country. In the suburb of the capital, Tunis, a young, fruit vendor recently killed himself after police seized the scales he used to weigh his wares. Damn. They say his act of desperation revived memories of the 2010 self-immolation of another Tunisian vendor, Mohamed Bouazizi, which prompted protests that led to the ouster of the longtime dictator Zine El Abidine Ben Ali, and provoked similar uprisings around the Arab world. Right? Was that sedition? Right? It says the Ministry of Commerce promised last month that shortages would ease, announcing the import of 20,000 tons of sugar from India to be available in time for Moled, the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad. But the night before the holiday, citizens formed long lines in front of the supermarkets in the hope of getting a package of sugar and essential food to prepare traditional dishes for the religious holiday. Food isn't the only thing in short supply. Lacking energy resources like those in neighboring Libya and Algeria, Tunisia relies heavily on imports, and its long-running economic troubles mean it has limited leverage on international markets to secure goods it needs. Inflation has reached a record rate of 9.1%, right, as I mentioned earlier, the highest in 3 decades, according to the National Institute of Statistics. It says the Central Bank of Tunisia added a hit by increasing bank fees and interest rates, hindering access to consumer loans. In Douar Hitcher, an impoverished suburb of the outskirts of Tunis, considered a barometer of popular discontent. Hundreds of people took to the streets at night last month to denounce the deterioration of their living conditions. With cries of work, freedom, dignity, the flagship slogan of the 2010-2011 revolution, demonstrators blocked the town's main artery by setting fire to tires, braving the police who sprayed tear gas to disperse them. Enough of speeches and promises. People are gripped by hunger and poverty, right? They tired of hearing these promises. They tired of hearing we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that. They tired of hearing that, right? And that's going to reach on a higher scale around the whole entire earth, right? These right there, these incidents in these different countries, these smaller countries, or whatever the case may be, or even bigger countries, but whatever the case may be, these are just a shadow of things to come. It's a read a banner erected by the demonstrators. Their anger at the government and political elites palpable. After sacking the prime minister and dissolving parliament, President Kais Saied has granted himself sweeping powers over the past year. He said the moves were necessary to save the country amid protracted political and economic crisis, and many Tunisians welcomed them. But critics and Western allies say the power grab jeopardizes Tunisia's young democracy. Mr. Syed attributes the scarcity of food products and the rise in prices to speculators and those who hold a monopoly on goods they store in illegal depots. He suggested that his main political rivals, the Islamic movement Ennahda, had some role which the party firmly denies. In a statement, the Salvation Front, a coalition of 5 opposition parties and several independent groups, called the demonstration a sign of a general explosion and the collapse of the social and political order. The General Secretary of the powerful trade union UGTT, Nuruddin Tabubi, blames the state's overburdened budget. The government is currently negotiating a $2 billion to $4 billion loan with the IMF to cope with a budget deficit aggravated by the crown pandemic and the fallout from Russia's war in Ukraine. A high-ranking Tunisian delegation went to Washington on Saturday in the hope of finalizing the deal. In return, Tunisia will have to commit to painful reforms, including shrinking the public administration sector, and one of the world's largest, which eats up about a third of the state's budget. The IMF is also demanding the gradual lifting of subsidies and privatization of state-owned enterprises, which implies massive layoffs and a worsening of employment, already at 18% according to the latest World Bank figures. Say, faced with such bleaker prospects, Tunisians increasingly no longer hesitate to put their lives in danger to reach Europe in search of a better life. It's the Tunisian Forum for Economic and Social Rights, an NGO that closely monitors migration, says 507 Tunisian migrants have died or gone missing so far in 2022 as they attempt the perilous crossing of the Mediterranean Sea. According to National Guard spokesman, not about to try to say that name, but you see it, the Coast Guard thwarted more than 1,500 attempts at illegal immigration to Italy from January to September 2022, involving entire families, including nearly 2,500 children. So this is it's ultimately what's going on down there. Like I said, read the title again. Turmoil in Tunisia, food shortages sparks unrest, right? And this is what's going on right now. They're having civil unrest because why? People are hungry. And then people are hungry, then prices are rising, they don't got the means or to be able to afford such things, and now they take it to the streets, right? And then of course like I said, they fight the police, they fighting, then they say they sacked the prime minister, sacked they I guess they house or whatever the case may be. See, this is what happens when people are hungry. Now, one thing I want to get really quick, I just want to read the spirit, Lord willing, if I remember, I want to do just a separate lesson on this. But there's a few things I want to get out of this article. Say, what happens to the body and mind when starvation sets in, which came out January 20th, 2016. What is it like to starve to death? Now, real quick, let me see, because it was something that I have read in here that let me see, Slovakia. Bear with me. because yeah, the spirit, Lord willing, I can just do a lesson on this, but it was something I had read. Right, I think it's right here. So it says this: when the body uses its reserves to provide basic energy needs, it can no longer supply necessary nutrients to vital organs and tissues. The heart, lungs, ovaries, and testes shrink. Muscles shrink, and people feel weak. Body temperatures drop, and people can feel chilled. People can become irritable, right, and becomes difficult to concentrate. So the point I want to bring out was people can become irritable. Now let's get that definition. It says irritable, having or showing a tendency to be easily annoyed or made angry. And that's what's going on with people. They become irritable when they don't have the food, they don't have water, they don't have things to drink, they don't have the necessities. Now one person said, I could live without furniture and carnal stuff, right? They can live without the things that you don't necessarily need, but the commodities, the things that you do need, that's what they want. And the thing here with this situation is these people are being made angry. That's why they take it to the streets. That's why they fight in these stores. They fighting, amongst, the police and, political figures, whatever the case may be, right? They say what, bad temper, let's say grumpy, grouchy, moody, cantankerous, ill temper, ill nature, crabby, just, hot temper, short temper. You just see them just reading, So those are a lot of the synonyms to irritable, and that's what happens when people are hungry, right? So without further ado, is there something I was looking for? I'll just get to the scriptures. So this is what's going on over there in Tunisia, right? And then in other various parts of the world, because I definitely like to go into a lot of famines and stuff, definitely a big part of prophecy. But we're going to start at the top right here, one of my favorite chapters, 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 1. It reads, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith Yahweh Shemel Shai. So it's saying to speak, the Lord commanded us to speak down the ears of his people. Who is his people? The so-called, the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and speckled bird, right? Those are the people, and the speckled bird are the Israelite foreigners who look like the heathens because they are scattered amongst them, but they see line go back to the 12 tribes of Israel, right? It say, well, speak the words of prophecy, right? We say before. We say the things that's going to happen before they happen, right? To warn the people, right? And it says, which I will put in thy mouth, saith Yahweh Shemel Shai, because why? These ultimately the words of Yahweh Shemel Shai. He's using his men, the men of the Lord, the prophets, the teachers, and whatnot, to speak unto you. We are an extension unto you. We are ambassadors of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Lord willing, to be one of those men that say, of the elect, it say, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true, right? That's why we have the scriptures. And they are faithful and true, because all the things that Yahweh Shemel Shai had said that was going to happen, whether in the scriptures, whether it been a past prophecy, a current prophecy, or one in the future, they have all came to pass. As the scriptures say, he is not like man that he should lie, right? It say, well, fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. So we don't fear your threats. We don't fear your thoughts. We don't fear your imagination. We don't fear what you got to say. Your incredulity, your unbelief is not going to deter us. We don't care about that. Why? For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness, and there's a reward for being unfaithful. There's a reward for not believing Yahweh Shemel Shai, and ultimately that reward is death. Right? It say, Behold, saith Yahweh Shemel Shai, I will bring plagues upon the world. Right? So it's the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai bringing these various plagues, to the world, right? Here's a few examples to say what? The sword, famine, right? As we talk about in this lesson, death and destruction. These are things that Yahweh Shemel Shai is sending. And then also he could put the spirit on man too, have like a man-made so-called famine, whatever the case may be. It don't matter, or he can just, take the scarcity away, send locusts, whatever the case may be. Yahweh Shemel Shai is in control of all things. A lot of people don't like to give him credit for that, but hey, in the end, the credit will definitely be manifested. They say, for verse 6, for wickedness, right? This is the reason why some of these things are being sent. These are the reasons why death and destruction and just all out, calamities and, lamentations more than woe is coming to the world. Because why? For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. At a point in time back in the day, during the time of Noah, what? Same thing was ultimately said, that the wickedness exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and then what? Yahweh Shemashai visited the world which he created, and what did he do? Destroy everybody besides 8 souls with a flood, right? And we understand in this time period that the flood that's going to come is going to be, it's coming in the form of, in the fashion of fire, thermonuclear, warheads, and the contrary laser beams. But before you get to that point, before we get to that point, right, you're going to have famines, plagues, pestilences, wars, rumors of wars, droughts, just all various things, that's going on in the world. And because why? Because of the wickedness and this iniquity, and the sinful, just ultimately just all out mannerisms of sin running rampant through the earth, right? And that's why he's visiting this place which he, the scripture say, visit the place which he had made. Actually, real quick, since I said that, verse 9, it was chapter 9, say what? Let's see, we'll start at the top. 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. So while you're supposed to be circumspect, you're supposed to be watching what's going on around the world. And it say what? Measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, these signs is talking about what? The prophecies, the tokens of Yahweh Shemashai, which I have told thee before. Then shalt thou understand that it's the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he had made. And it is evident, of you in the spirit, that Yahweh Shemashai is visiting this world which he had made. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people, civil unrest as part of the prophecies, as part of the visitations of Yahweh Shemashai, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Because why? I said, well, he declared the end before the beginning. So all these things that's happened is not a coincidence. It's not by accident. All these various things are going to come to pass was already set up through the Spirit to happen. We just playing out our roles as the actors, that Yahweh Shemashai has created and installed in his movie, because he's the producer and the director, of everything that's going on right now. Back to chapter 15. It reads 14, verse 14. It say, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. So again, the Lord saying, woe, destruction, death, all these things are coming to the world, and to those who dwell therein. Who dwell in the world? People. Hey, and even animals they be getting it too. So it say what? For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, right? And what's going on over there is people in the stores stand up against each other. They fight against one another. Why? Right, because they hungry. They want this because they rationing this. I can't get this, I can't get that. They fight against each other, and swords in their hands, and we understand that that's definitely gonna come to pass. People it's gonna get so bad to where people get to shoot each other in the stores, maybe stab you, may cut you up, whatever the case may be. Actually, it's gonna get so bad that the scriptures say even friends shall fight in one another. You can also translate that to what? Family members. Let's say, or like right here, it's a verse 22, 2 Ezra 6 and 22. And suddenly, right out of nowhere, shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And that's what's going on right there with the shortages, with the supply chain disruptions, right? A lot of these places that was normally sown that had, abundance of food products and water and all that case may be, they don't have that no more. It's a scarcity, right? And that's also a part of prophecy. Right, so that's why they got, like, right in this situation, this article, what they say, they got to ration stuff. You can only buy this amount. You can't buy whatever your heart desire. No, you can only buy this much because it's a shortage, right? And they say, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. And the trumpet is being blown right now through the spirit of power, Yahweh Shemashai, via his prophets. We definitely sound the Lord, telling you bad times are coming, telling you these horrible things are going to happen, right? And everybody hear, but even though, hey, people hear, but they're not listening. Majority of the people is hearing, but they're not listening. Only the elect ultimately is going to hear and listen and take heed. Then shall be suddenly afraid, because then what? A lot of people will be afraid when they hear this message, but when the time period come of the things that you pushed off and you want to hear and you ignore, you're going to definitely be afraid when it all comes to pass. Right? It say, at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. And that's what's going on right now. They fighting against one another in those supermarkets because they ain't got nothing to eat. Some of them people probably friends. Someone probably went to school together. Some people probably grew up with each other and they eat right now. In the sense, like I said, I'm not saying that we know specifically, but I guarantee you, some of the people know each other and they fighting over each other over food. That's what'll come in a great fashion. It says, and we seen episodes of those things going on here too, with shortages and stuff like that. But it's gonna get worse. It says, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein, right? Because mass chaos is coming, and the springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Meaning what? A drought gonna come, a lack of water, a lack of hydration gonna come, and people gonna bug out when that happens too. And look, they talking about they rationing water, so a lot of these things are coming to pass. All these prophecies are coming to pass. So I get again for that. Verse 15. Verse 16, they say what? For there shall be sedition among men, right? And like I said, that one individual said he pretty much riled up the people, got everybody, riled up, and to go against the government, to overthrow whoever that was in power. And that's what happens when these situations happens. People get mad, they get upset, and then they get to everybody rally up and this and that. And they speak these things, and they speak, we should do this, we should do that, and guess what? Then people start to say yeah, that's right. They're unfair. They this and that. Let's go take their stuff, or let's go do whatever we want. That's what happens with people. Like that's going to what sedition mean. Ultimately inciting an uprising, right? And invading one another, right? Because eventually it's gonna get so bad to where people gonna start invading each other's houses for for food and necessity. To why? Before the lack of bread, which is down in the little ladder, a couple of precepts down. But it says what? They should not regard their kings nor princes. Didn't it say that they went out there to fight against the police? Did not care. Didn't it say they was going against the prime minister and the parliament? They do not care. And of course, they're actually standing their power because they not going to care. They're not going to care about the law. They're not going to care about, we can't break this, we can't do that. They're not going to care. They're upset. Like I said, they hungry, right? It said what? People become irritable. They be made angry. What people do when they angry? They lash out. And that's what's going on right now, right now over there. Fighting against the police and all this and that, and they like I said, they ousted somebody out of their home or whatever the case may be, man. Because why? Because hey, the people hungry, right? They lacking. They say a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, or it's ultimately going to what? Martial law. Because normally when things get out of hand like this, what they do? Call for the military, round up everybody, give curfews, all this and that. That's what's going to end up happening. But all these other places that they had these uprisings, what they do? Call the military and put everything in check. And that's what's going to end up happening. It say, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, right? Because a lot of these cities, especially Babylon the Great, a lot of these places, these prominent places, right? They feel like, or even people just in general, they feel like nothing. They have never had to go through any adversity, like horrible adversity, like dire straight adversities. Yeah, small, minor things may happen, but they ultimately can overcome. But they don't understand, like through the pride, man, they're gonna be in trouble in the point that there's no return to that original, place that you were, where you was comfortable. They're going to be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid, right? And like I said, that's what's like I said, definitely going to come also in a great fashion. That's why they have these movies out there. They got with the Purge movies and The Road and all these other various movies that you can watch so that you can get an idea of what's going to come to pass, right? They say what? A man shall have no pity. Because a lot of people, I'm not scared now. This, that. A lot of people definitely gonna be scared when just all out anarchy and chaos is going on in the world. Don't believe us or don't believe how about Shemashai, but just watch, right? A man shall have no pity, right? He's not gonna care upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. Why are they gonna do this? Because of the lack of bread, because of the lack of food, the lack of water, a lack of necessities, right? And for great tribulation. Say all out hell breaking loose. That's why, say it's going to be a tumultuous time. Perilous time shall come, as the scriptures say, right? And this is just, like I said, an instance over here in a different country, but we understand that the mainstay is going to be what? Babylon the Great, and all these other prominent, countries, as these well-to-do countries, whatever the case may be. But also, we know definitely over here in Babylon the Great, the people are going to be in for a surprise. So these things that's happening across the country, across the world, these are just a shadow of things to come for this place and other various places as well, right? But, and that's pretty much, all on that, like this is, saying again, I'm just going to get the title of that. Where it said, again, let's say turmoil in Tunisia. Food shortage sparks unrest, right? And that's what's going to come to the world in a great fashion. And this definitely can be one of those factors, one of those, engines, so to speak, to fuel civil unrest, instability, state of disorder. So Lord willing, and also and all and stuff like this going on. Hey, we understand what this whole yay thing that's going on, whatever the case may be. And like I said, don't get me wrong, the guy did say things, some things right, but he also said he also said some things that are wrong. But guess what? A lot of people are paying attention to that and being distracted by that and not worrying about real life situations that's going on right now. To hell with who, we know through the spirit who run the world. They're supposed to be in power. It's no surprise to us. But of course, to the people who and the unknown, they don't know. But like I said, when these food shortages hit, when your stomach touches your back, can you go to Ye to help you? Is he gonna help you and give you food? Is he gonna give you clothes? He gonna give you raiment? He'll give you a place to stay if you get kicked out? Is he? Right? These people, like I said, just hey, shoot him. Shoot at me and spell the bones and move the hell on. To hell with that guy, right? All those that, and like I said, it could he be elect? Hey, if he repent, he could be. But as far as right now, hey, the same people who gave him all that, everything that he obtained and everything he got, it came from those people. So you don't know if he's set up to do this, or the case may be. But at the end of the day, this shed light to more of the truth, bring more believers. But at the end of the day, to hell with them. There's real life issues that's going on right now in this world, and that's definitely going to impact you greatly. So to hell with that. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to sincere Akim Aquatham out there listening. I want to give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, the models of our apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that pushes great gospel in sincerity and truth. Shalom, Yasha Allah, Abide the fall.